Hello strangers, Lenny again. I'm sorry it's been so long. I was on the road for a while, so wasn't able to do much about watches. So what I got sitting here in front of me is a cheap Chinese movement from a Winner, which is a very cheap Chinese brand. The watch is like kind of a knockoff of a Longines, or however you freaking say that word, I don't know. The issue with this watch, and the reason I have it torn apart, is the previous owner, my brother, actually, he tried to set the date or time while the date wheel was in transition to the next date, which on some movements, it's a great way to completely brick the movement, just ruins it. And well, I figured out what's wrong with this watch, and I'm gonna show you. And I'm gonna attempt to fix it, but I don't know if I can. So I got the cover plate taken off that protects the date wheel and the keyless works. So this is the date wheel, obviously. This right here is a little lever. This is what makes the date wheel spring from position to position, just keeps tension on it. This right here actually sets the date during a certain time of day. This little lever hits a little pin right there when it's time for the date to change. And this is operated by the running works. So this isn't operated by the keyless works. And the issue with this watch is in the keyless works. So I'm gonna get this freaking, okay, there we go. So anyway, like I said, this is the part of the running works that changes the date as the day goes on. And this is the keyless works right here, because the watch doesn't take a key. They call it a keyless works because back in the day with pocket watches you had to put a key in there, or with just old desk clocks. And this is in the winding setting, so the watch still winds, but you can't set anything, and I'll show you why. Alright, so I know it's a little smudgy. I've had this watch taken apart. I'm gonna try to explain. So this wheel right here, this is the wheel that you manipulate to adjust the time. This large part and the small gear, they interact with the hands directly. This lever right here pivots when you set the watch to, when you pull it out to set the date or the day. I'm gonna try to do it, see if something falls off. All right, so this should be setting the day. So what happens is that little wheel with the little crazy looking gear on it, that's actually supposed to move into position to adjust the date wheel, but it doesn't. And when you set it all the way out, like that, well, something popped off. You saw that little washer. That's when you set the time, but that doesn't work. And I'll show you why. So that little gear that just flew off actually has an axle on it. I don't know if you can see it very well. Yeah, so that has an axle on it. I'm gonna set that right there. Okay, so this lever right here, that hole right there talks to the stem. That's the pivot, and this hole interacts with that gear under there and the gear we just talked about. Okay, so there's the lever, and that's the bottom spring. So what's supposed to happen is these are supposed to be connected. I believe they're pressed together at the factory, and they're supposed to be spinning inside this little hole here. But when the previous owner tried to adjust the date or time while the date wheel was in transition, I put torque on this wheel the wrong way, or too much torque or whatever. It wasn't able to move. So these things snapped apart. Earlier, the reason this has already been taken apart is I tried to fix it. I pressed them back together as best I could, and it did not work. I could not set anything. I'm gonna try to fix that. All right, so I'm using my my case holder as an anvil, kind of. So this is the gear with the axle on it. This sits on top of it. Up, sitting on top of it. And this little gear here, if I can freaking oh my god, this little gear here sits right there, right on top, like that. And they're supposed to be fixed together, and they're not. So what I'm gonna do, and I don't recommend this to anybody, is I'm going to use super glue because I couldn't get it any other way. So let's give that a shot. Whenever I use super glue, I get a piece of plastic and I make a big old dollop on it. And if it's for something intricate, I do it this way. So I grab a needle and get a little bit of super glue on the head of the needle and I apply it where I want to apply it. That's too much super glue. You know what? I'm gonna be liberal because what I can do is after I'm done putting the super glue on it, I can scrape away what I don't plan on using. And let's just hope that I didn't get any super glue in contact with the lever, so they're free to spin. So I guess I'm gonna skip ahead to that part, so hang tight. How does that look? That looks pretty flush. Cool, so now for the reassembly. All right, so that works. And that doesn't work. Nope. So you can see in the date setting, it will rotate that wheel, but when there's tension on it to actually set the date wheel, it's not going to catch because it can't even set the time. You see that gear not spinning that top gear? That gear that's spinning real quick right now, it's supposed to be spinning that top gear just as fast. So this movement is broken and I can't fix it. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. This is Lenny's Cheap Watch channel where we buy and try to fix cheap watches sometimes. Where would you like?